In Salt and Sanctuary, after finding a black pearl or getting enough salt to produce one, you're able to peruse the Tree of Skill, where you can spend your black pearls in an effort to learn new proficiencies and boost your stats. As you browse potential powers with which to buff yourself, you may have noticed small snippets of stories, both events that have been chronicled in the world of Salt and Sanctuary, and also fairy tales. Here in this short series, I'll present these stories for you, compiled in their intended reading order, as they can provide great insight into the overarching story of Salt and Sanctuary. Cyberphile proudly presents Salt and Sanctuary, Stories from the Tree of Skill. Panthonus. In ancient days, forest tribes held gods too numerous to mention, varying from tribe to tribe. A single tree in a single forest may be 3 different gods to 3 different tribes, and with little to no written history among them all, there was no structure to their beliefs. Some embraced this, holding a sort of spiritual animism as their truth. When men civilized themselves, shedding huts and furs for stone villages and linens, a common pantheon was codified, what is now known as the Old Gods. The Old Pantheon contained 12 gods, typically. Diadel, goddess of sky; Azradak, god of bloodletting; Oima, god of the harvest; Purabella, goddess of fertility; Numen, god of dark things; Gruul, god of the forest creatures; Imrios, god of the sea; Elenestria, goddess of luck; Oporos, god of health; Merlik, god of the dream world; Tartilia, goddess of the dead world; and Devara, goddess of light. In most circles, Devara was esteemed as the mother of all gods, commanding the greatest shrines and the most devoted clerics. In time, the lesser gods of the Old Pantheon fell in stature, and the vast majority of codified Old Pantheon worship simply fell under the umbrella term known as Devara's Light. The new gods, also known as the Three, emerged through monarchy and dynasty. Devara is made equal with that of 2 deities drawn from Ascarian royalty, the King and the Knight, divine incarnations of Ascarian men. King Eriko the Austere and Suramar the Proper are credited with uniting all of Ascaria, a decades-long conquest that began under King Eriko's father, King Relon, the Bear. Ascaria's successful campaigns of war and conquest led to the 3 becoming the most universally held gods, though forest tribes in the eastern continent are known to still hold the ancient tribal gods, which now fell under the moniker of Stone Roots. The old gods remain popular in the southern continent, as well as in smaller nations like Tanabir to the north and Cadania to the west. Markdor, the mountainous nation in the western side of the northern continent, held its own pantheon, but its rulers became increasingly antagonistic towards the petty squabbling and state-sanctioned proselytizing of the men of gods. Perhaps in response to Ascaria's conquest for the 3, the Dorian Council of Steel declared the will of man to be greater than gods, and uniquely worthy of worship. Ironically, this move led to its own codified system of faith and worship, with its own schools, clerics, tomes, and songs, all dedicated to extolling the will of man. During the 3's rise in popularity, mages and arcanists from Ascaria and Livin began establishing a science around the art of channeling the elements of fire and sky, eventually forming the Citadel, a stone tower deep in the woods of Livin. Elementally attuned individuals would make pilgrimages to the Citadel of Fire and Sky. A pilgrim to the Citadel would begin his study as an acolyte, devoting decades of study and discipline toward learning, mastering, and researching. Disciples of Fire and Sky can't be said to hold gods, new or old, as they restrict their study in the supernatural to experiments in spellcraft that can be documented and duplicated. Healers of Fire and Sky, ever important in a tower fraught with flame-slinging acolytes, do call on some divinity to mend and heal, but they attribute this to a celestial element that must exist between Fire and Sky. The realm has some smaller cults and sects of some import. Sects of the old gods, for instance, often add or subtract from their accepted pantheons as tradition allows, and hold more reverence for gods other than Devara. One such sect shed the entire original old pantheon to favor 2 non-traditional gods, Gilbael, god of wine, and Axigal, god of visions, eventually known simply as the Fool and the Prophet. Hey, thanks for watching! Don't forget to subscribe for more Cyberphile content, and if you liked this video, show me with that little thumbs up button. If you liked this video, you might like one of my other videos. You can click right on the boxes to jump to them. Cyberphile, offline.